PFL Africa returns this Saturday from Kigali, Rwanda, from the BK Arena. 11 fights this Saturday. Of course, the semifinal fights for PFL Africa before the championship card happens sometime, I assume, in December. Again, 11 fights in this card. I'm excited to talk about these fights after we saw PFL Africa 1 and PFL Africa 2. We've gotten a chance now to see most of these fighters on the big show, and we are going to obviously make 11 predictions for these 11 fights and see who's going to move on to the championship card later in the year. Now, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more PFL and UFC content here on the channel. Earlier in the week, we posted our UFC Fight Night Vancouver predictions with Rainier DeRitter and Brendan all in Allen in the main event. Also on the main channel, Greedo Plays, daily MLB best bets, college football, NFL best bets, plus predictions. You're not going to want to miss that channel and the videos on that channel. And again, PFL, don't know when the next PFL card is going to be. I think it's actually all the way until December. So we might be off of the PFL for a whole month and a half coming up, but we should have 3 cards in December with PFL MENA finals, PFL Europe finals, and PFL Africa finals, I believe, all 3 straight weeks. So we'll get into that again. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But first, we've got 11 fights this week for PFL Africa from Kigali City, Rwanda. Let's start things off with a showcase fight. Now, I said early in the video, we've seen most of these fighters fight. We have not seen James Opio and Isaac Omeda. Now, I've done film study on all of these fighters except for these guys because these are relatively unknowns who there's barely any film out on, and they're unknowns, basically. Now, again, most of these PFL guys, I watched their first fight in PFL Africa, then I've watched the fights again, obviously, before this video. This fight, I doubt any betting lines have this, or any books have this. I'm going to go with the guy who's 2-0, Isaac Omeda, okay? Omeda doesn't even have a picture, I understand. This is a 2-0 fighter, though, from Uganda, from Africa, top team Uganda. He's 2-0 professionally, back-to-back victories in one-zone MMA over in Kampala, Uganda. I'm going to take him, the Monster King, to beat Labwar the Godzilla in James Opio. Opio is also from Uganda, but from Rwanda, but he's 1-2. Sorry, 2-1, but he lost to Cornell Thompson in his last fight, an 8-3 fighter. I'm going to take the guy who's still undefeated, but he hasn't fought in 3 years. Oh. But there's also a thing on Tapology saying that they don't even know if this guy's a real fighter or not. Okay. Yeah, don't bet this fight. I don't know why it's here. I know why it's here. It's to get the Rwandan fighter on the card. So maybe I should take the guy from Rwanda. No, I'm going to go Omeda just because he hasn't lost a fight before. That's a horrible way to pick a fight. Trust me, the rest of the video won't be like that. So I'm going to go Omeda by decision. If you can give me a great analysis on this fight, go ahead. That'll be the first one I've seen. Okay, you're probably the only person to get a good analysis on that fight. As we move on now to our second fight of the night, and we go to, again, the fighters we've actually seen before. Mohamed Camara is back, and he's taking on Alain Majorique in this fight. Now, this is Majorique's PFL debut. He's a 5-0 professional training out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, excuse me. He is a 5-0 fighter. You know how I feel sometimes about Canadian MMA. You can't always trust it, but it is what it is. He's taken on Mohamed Camara, who we saw in the main event of the first ever solely dedicated PFL Africa card, where he fought Patrick Ocheme in the main event. Ocheme wins the fight by unanimous decision. And the simplest way I can put that fight for you is that Camara just kind of gets styled on. I mean, if you've watched Ocheme fight, you can kind of tell when he's fighting because it's just, big shots, winging him, but, he's going to be aggressive, and, if you can't really find anything up the middle against the guy, you're probably going to lose. Camara couldn't find anything against Patrick Ocheme. So it's a good victory for Ocheme in the first ever PFL Africa main event. Camara, though, just gets styled on the entire fight, and we knew, again, he was kind of getting thrown to the wolves in that fight because of the reason they wanted Ocheme in the main event. And you look at Camara and what he had done prior to that, got knocked out in UAE Warriors 2 fights ago, had a draw against Ali Yazbek, and then comes in and fights Ocheme and loses a decision. He's now fighting Alain Majorique, who is 5-0 as a professional, who has won the Samurai MMA Bantamweight Championship in his last fight. I believe that is a Fight Pass partnered Fight Pass partnered promotion, and he's 5-0 in Samurai MMA, and he's a guy, again, who's got all-around good skills, very good grappling. I think it's a really difficult fight for Camara. I don't want to be harsh on Camara, but I don't think he's that high level of a fighter. He is a Novinhao guy from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, but as we saw in the Ocheme fight, he just got beat up for 15 minutes, and there was a pretty clear reason why the PFL gave Ocheme Camara in the first round. We've seen them, I don't want to say they're fixing fights because they're not, but we've seen them fix their brackets quite often to get the fighters they want going on to the finals. I mean, the biggest example of that is Muhammad Alcala and PFL Mena. We see it all the time with him. Nothing against the guy, but obviously that's who they want their star to be, and we saw that with Dicheva early in her run too. Anyways, I think it's a big spot for Majorique here. Not impressed with anything Camara does. He's not that fast. He's not that aggressive. I think he can get out grappled pretty easily in this fight. I'm gonna go with the Cameroonian training out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to beat Mohamed Camara. I think it's a pretty easy one here for Alain Majorique to easily win this fight. And I think he's gonna win it by decision. I think it's gonna be pure grappling, and I just don't think Camara has much for him. Let's move on now to our heavyweight alternate fight. Oh my goodness. Abdullah Kane, excuse me, not Kane. Abdullah Kane takes on Emmanuel Mukam. Abdullah Kane, man. This guy is like a minus 600 favorite in his first PFL Africa fight. Huge favorite. He's fighting Jofi Houlton, who is on this card as well. He's fighting Abraham Babli later on in the card, and I'll have something to say about that fight. But anyways, Kane's a big favorite, minus 520. I don't want to say he's the guy that they want to win the season, but you can tell again, like in the pre-fight and whatnot, they're hyping up Kane quite a bit. He immediately drops Houlton. And okay, you're thinking, all right, this is what's supposed to happen. He's a minus 520 favorite, immediately hits him with the right, completely knocks down Houlton, fight's over. Houlton is one punch, he's done, right? He's kind of knocked out, but you put one more on him, he falls right back against the fence, and dude's like almost slept. Like he's like this, he's almost done. So what does Kane, I keep wanting to say Kane, what does Kane do? Kane, instead of just, throwing a right, that's horrible, right? Throwing a right, yeah. Instead of throwing anything, he throws a knee right at the dude's face while he's backed up against the fence. Why? Obviously, Houlton can't continue the fight, and you can't call it a no contest. No, that's intentional. Fight over. Jofi Houlton, on to the next round. You are 2 fights away from being the PFL Africa champion now. Unbelievable stuff. I mean, it's just a low IQ move. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you got to know, again, I got a knockdown. You got to know within your mind that, big spot for me. All I got to do is punch one more time and I'm good. Nope. So, again, Kane's talented. He hits really hard. He's a 6'5 heavyweight. He's taking on Emmanuel Mukam, who's not as known at all. He hasn't fought in PFL Africa just yet. He trains out of that Francis Ngannou Foundation camp. Both of his fights are first-round knockouts, but, I mean, trust me, I think Kane's pretty good. I think if, again, he was just a little bit smarter about how he followed up his shots in his first PFL Africa fight, we wouldn't have had a problem. So I think this is pretty easily Abdullah Kane to win this fight. Mukam is kind of just getting thrown to the wolves here. And again, you watch Kane fight. Yes, he's a very talented guy. He's made a very stupid decision in his first PFL fight. He'll be fine here. And all he did was really gift Houlton the beatdown that's coming for him against Abraham Babli. So we'll get to that later. But I'm going to go with Abdullah Kane to win this fight by first round knockout. Next up, we go to the featherweight division as we have got Wasi Adeshina taking on Dwight Joseph. So Dwight Joseph is a team alpha male guy from Sacramento, California. Won his first fight by very impressive fashion. We had Dwight Joseph at plus money, and he cashed. Big flying knee knockout win over Wilker Nismau. End of the second round, it hits the flying knee, fight over, puts him out. It's a good spot, man. Dwight Joseph is the most experienced guy on this entire card. I mean, this will be his 18th fight on Saturday against Wasi Adeshina, the Nigerian Jaguar, who is coming off a big win in his own right? Pure grappling domination. He was striking pretty well against Labuya early and then went to the grappling as he went on and eventually got through a naked choke finish. That's great. Watching Wasi Adeshina, he gets hit. He does. And the thing that I don't like about Adeshina is that he leads with his head. And against a guy like Dwight Joseph, who's experienced, had a bunch of fights, and does throw knees again like we saw through the flying knee knockout, I don't love that for Adeshina. He just, to me, again, he leads with his head. He will get into striking range by putting his head down and kind of just throwing from there, or obviously then looking for his, his wrestling just wrestling in general, looking for his takedowns. I think if you throw that at an experienced fighter in Dwight Joseph, I think Joseph's eventually going to catch him. So the prediction for me is going to be Dwight Joseph second round TKO. Again, I said this going into his fight. Against Nismao, it's just a very experienced guy, a guy who trains with a lot of good training partners over in Sacramento, California. Again, say what you want about Uriah Faber and whatnot. That's a good gym that's had a lot of really good fighters. Dwight Joseph has fought in America for quite a bit. And again, this is just the truth about this. I mean, Dwight Joseph has had a lot of, time fighting mixed martial arts. He's gotten to fight in America. He's fought in Uriah Faber A1 Combat, where he was their bantamweight champion, right? That's a promotion that does feed into the UFC some. He has a lot of resources in Sacramento against some fighters. Again, not saying Adeshina is this, but against some other fighters in PFL Africa, and I'm going to get to some later who are still very new to the sport. I mean, there's a lot of very young fighters on this card, so when you get a veteran like Dwight Joseph who's still fighting pretty well, like we saw in his last bout, and even in his fights where he's winning the bantamweight championship over in A1 Combat, I'm gonna lean towards him, obviously, and I think that's a very fair point to make. He is 36 years old, but I mean, that knockout win over Nismao, that's huge. And I was very shocked he was an underdog, at least going into starting the week. I think he closed it as a favorite, but I remember when we picked Dwight Joseph, he was either a dog on Tapology or the straight up line. He was an underdog. And guys, Dwight Joseph fought in the Contender Series in 2019. He won his fight in the Contender Series against Jay Perrin, and he won it by decision, so he didn't get a contract. And that was back when Dana didn't offer everybody a contract on the Contender Series. But that's the type of fighter we are dealing with. I get it, that was 6 years ago now, but Dwight Joseph's only lost one fight since winning on the Contender. This is a fighter, again, from Liberia, now lives and trains in Sacramento, California. Pretty easily going Dwight Joseph here. I think eventually he will chin Wasi, who leads with his head and just, I don't know, he walks forward with his head exposed. I just don't like it. From what I saw in that last fight that he had, yeah, great finish, but against Labuya, but I'm going to go Dwight Joseph, second round TKO. Next up, we go to a matchup here that I feel like should be a lot closer, at least in the Tapology picks, than I'm seeing. Yabana T'Challa, the Guinea-Bissau fighter, now training out of Curitiba, Brazil, taking on Emilios Dassi from the Francis Ngannou Foundation over in Cameroon. This fight's really close to me. Okay, and I look at the votes on Tapology, and I see T'Challa 91% and Dassi 9%. And I think the biggest reason towards that is because T'Challa, this will be fight number 15, and this will be Dassi's seventh ever fight. But watching both of these guys fight, I'm like, I don't know if T'Challa is really that much better than Dassi. And I know, again, T'Challa's had to fight, he's gotten to fight big name guys, at least in the PFL world. Yazin Kuchain lost, Venetia Sensi lost, both in UAE Warriors, and a big victory over Sanan Sadek in his last fight by unanimous decision. And T'Challa wrestles a lot, doesn't really allow the Rufus Sport fighter at Sadek to do much against him, and it's a pretty easy victory, right, for T'Challa because of the wrestling that he uses. And Emilios Dassi, who is still very young or very new to the sport, completely dismantles the guy he fights. And I get it, Osvaldo Bendito from Angola may not be the highest level of guy, but I'm watching Emilios Dassi fight, and I mean, he gets a takedown right away. And then once the fight's on the mat, Dassi just loads up, completely cocks his damn hand back and just starts throwing absolute bombs. It's not the most conventional thing, and it's not the most technically sound way of throwing punches. And again, MMA 101, do you want to see that? Maybe not, but the dude swings for the fences, and he's a very strong guy that can take you down as well. And then eventually, Osvaldo Bendito's going to throw up triangles. Dassi doesn't care. There's one point in the fight where Dassi's in a triangle choke, and he just keeps punching. He just does not care. Bendito has his legs wrapped around him. Is he going to get him? Again, Dassi's slipping out, but while he's in the triangle choke, he does not care. He's still throwing the right hand, and he's still, again, cocking back and just, unloading. Eventually, fight gets back up, and Dassi does knock him out pretty brutally. I think the fight should be a lot closer odds-wise, man, or at least, again, picks-wise. We don't have odds. We do not have odds yet for PFL Africa. We probably won't get them until night before the fight. Call me crazy. I'm going to go Emilios Dassi here, man. I think there's a very big potential Dassi's going to win this fight. I think T'Challa, again, might be the more well-versed fighter, and obviously he's been around mixed martial arts for a lot longer, but I think Dassi's a true, raw talent. I get 2 fights ago, he lost to an 0-1 fighter. I completely understand that, but I watched that last fight. I get it, Bendito might not be very good, but Dassi got to finish, T'Challa didn't. I look at T'Challa, I'm like, I don't know if he really wants to strike with Dassi that much. Grappling-wise, yes, he will have an advantage, I believe, but it's not like Dassi's a slouch wrestling-wise. I mean, I saw him hold his own and be the aggressor in getting takedowns against the Angolan Bandito. So I'm going to go Emilios Dassi, man. I mean, I think he's still a very green talent. He's raw. I think he'll continue to get better as his career goes on. I'm going to go Emilios Dassi first round knockout. I am going to buy in a little bit here. I'm going to join the 9% of voters that are taking Dassi, and out of those 9% of voters, 76% of those are going to be going by knockout here. I know I'm going to be in a minority here, again, especially picking against a guy who's training in Brazil with a pretty good team. I'm going to go Dassi. I think the raw talent's there. I think the dude's an athlete. I've seen him fight. And I think he's going to find a way to win this one. So I'm going to go Emilios Dassi. I could be wrong. That's kind of my dart throw. That's not a dart throw, but that's going to be the biggest underdog I think I take on this card. I'd imagine he's probably going to be sitting at probably like plus 300 by fight time. But I'm going to go Dassi here. I believe the fight that I watched out of him, I liked. T'Challa to me, grapple heavy, not too impressed. I'm going to go Dassi. I think the potential's right there with Dassi. He just needs to tap into it. So I'm going to go Emilios Dassi. Next up, we go to a matchup here in the bantamweight division. We've got Boulay Godogo taking on Karim Henniene. I'm going to go Henniene. Two grapple-heavy guys. I just think Henniene's grappling's better. Oddly enough, at a split decision against Ayashu Tishamba. I don't know how that was a split decision. I thought Henniene won that one fairly easily. Commentaries at the end of the fight go, oh, it kind of depends. This fight depends on how you score that last scramble. I'm like, I don't think the fight's that close. I thought Godogo's fight was close against Van Tonder. Van Tonder missed weight for that fight, and Godogo wins. But, I mean, it's just two wrestle-heavy guys. I'm going to go with the fighter who just looks like the more fluid grappler, the guy who looks like he can put his... he's able to mix in, again, his all-around scrambles better. Like, again, there's no way I can put this to you without it sounding weird, but Henniene just passes the eye test more than Godogo. Just watch the two guys fight. Godogo, to me, still seems kind of getting into the sport. Had fought randoms in EFC before fighting. Henniene trains in Canada. They have the same record. I think Henniene's got one more victory ever. Henniene just looks like he's a way more well-versed MMA fighter. And his grappling, again, he puts together his grappling and his wrestling and everything in his sweeps way better, in my opinion, than Godogo does. Godogo, to me, again, just a raw talent who's, I think, got potential. But I watch Henniene fight. I'm like, all right, this guy knows what he's doing, and a good grappler should probably put himself in a really good position to win the PFL Africa season. Now, Hokonya later on in this card is going to be really good. We'll talk about him in the co-main event. But Henniene's a very heavy wrestle-heavy guy. Didn't seem to have many problems with grappling. Striking, it is what it is. But I mean, when he needed a takedown, he was able to get it. When he needed to scramble in that fight, he was able to fight himself in really good positions. I just don't think Godogo has much going back at him here. I think Henniene is the better fighter. I think he's the much more well-versed fighter. I think he's got the experience on his side. I'm going to go Karim Henniene by unanimous decision. I think, again, Godogo, to me, just too raw of a talent. I'm going to go Henniene. Next up, let's go to the heavyweight division. This is the easiest fight to pick on the entire card. Abraham Babli takes on Jofi Houlton. Pretty easily, we're going Abraham Babli, who's now representing Ireland, I believe. Babli first round knockout. I mean, this is like taking candy from a baby. Now, I assume the odds are not going to be anywhere close. I assume Houlton's going to be sitting at, I don't know, plus 600, plus 700 for this fight. Why? Again, well, we talked about it earlier, right? With Abdullah Kane's fight against Jofi Houlton. Kane immediately blitzes the guy, sits him down, fights over. Again, one more punch ends it, and he's stupid, and he throws a knee. Okay. Knee to a grounded opponent, and, throws that knee to knock him out. And it's to the point where Houlton gets hit with it, and he's like, what just happened, right? Fight's over. But since, again, Kane throws the knee, Houlton gets the win. That fight happened 4 months ago. I mean, I don't know. You're taking that much damage to the brain. You're fighting less than 4 months later. I don't love it. He was a plus 400 dog in the Kane fight, and, again, he was just being thrown out there to lose. Like, the PFL, I 100% guarantee you, when they booked Jofi Houlton for that fight, they did not expect to ever see this guy ever again. We booked a 7-4 fighter who actually fought Mario Pinto back in the day, and Gokhan Sarikam too. I mean, that's random. Those are his first two fights? Sarikam and Pinto? Are we serious? That's horrible luck. But, I mean, we booked a guy, if I'm the PFL, I booked a guy who has won his last two fights, but 2 fights prior to that, he lost to a 7-4 fighter and lost to a 4-0 Anthony Morel. Back-to-back wins. Sure, he beat a 1-1 fighter in Aries FC, but this is our guy we want, right? We want Abdullah Kane big time. And you watch in the first 30 seconds of that fight, boom, it goes exactly how you want it. Kane knocks him down. Boom, we're going to get the big Abdullah Kane, Abraham Babli fight. And then, no, he's just stupid and knees him in the face. So, Houlton's back, got knocked out less than 4 months ago, and here he is. He's going to get knocked out again. I mean, Abraham Babli will knock this dude out in the very first round. I mean, I'll be so damned if Babli doesn't win this season. Don't forget again, Abraham Babli, he did not just get recruited just for PFL Africa, okay? He's been around. He fought in the PFL Challenger Series. He beat Louis Sutherland back in the PFL stateside promotion. Yes, the same Louis Sutherland who was booked against Justin Taffa just a couple weeks ago in the UFC. Taffa, of course, got sick or whatnot. He got cut by the UFC. It is what it is. But I've seen Bob Lee around. I mean, he's fought in Bellator, fought Isaiah Pinson in Bellator, lost to Sim Trabelsi by split decision. Hell, he fought in the PFL United States tournament this year. He lost by split decision to Rodrigo Nascimento in a very close fight. I thought Nascimento got it, but it should just show you, again, Bob Lee is very talented. He's been on PFL and Bellator and all these cards for a while. His last fight against Paul Emmanuel Ganze, it's exactly how you think a fight's going to go between a very skillful guy in Bob Lee and against a fighter who just got knocked out 2 months before. Bob Lee gets the knockout at the end of the first round. He was a minus 1,200 favorite in the fight. That was not his original opponent. His original opponent was Badur Mekdori, who he was going to beat anyway, but it was going to be actually, a difficult fight. Bob Lee will have no problems in this bout again. Houlton was this is what Houlton is, guys. Houlton was a jobber, a can that they threw out for Kane to get a victory. It backfired because Kane, pulled a Piotr Jan. So they said, oh, crap, we have to guarantee you another fight, Joffrey Houlton. Okay, here's your $5,000 to go lose to Abraham Babli. Actually, $15,000. I think they pay these guys a little bit more than the UFC does. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably $5,000. Anyways, Abraham Babli goes on to the championship fight where he will take on the winner of this fight. Maxwell Nana versus Justin Clarke. Okay. Maxwell Nana, he won his last fight against Mikhail Gruge. It's not that eventful, man. He wins it by decision. It's not a very good fight. Gruge throws he throws very hard, but didn't really land anything that big on Nana. And, Maxwell's ahead in the entire fight for the most part. You can tell, the output's there for him, and Gruge is more of just, I'm a power puncher who kind of throws hard and I swing for the fences. Okay, cool. Maxwell wins the fight like he's supposed to. This is a former one championship fighter. Fought in PFL, United States side. I believe it was in the States, in 2024, right? Yeah, fought in DC once for the PFL. He's the guy supposed to win. And he does. He gets it by decision. It's just not that impressive. He's taking on the South African Justin Clarke, though, who low-key looks like a South African version of Josh Emmett and heavyweight version of Josh Emmett. Kind of. But yeah, Justin Clarke's last fight against Jashil Awa immediately broke its wobble. Awa's a 2-1 fighter going into that fight? 3-1 fighter going into that fight. He's a guy who actually fought in Power Slap, believe it or not. The guy that Clarke fought in Jashil Awa. Awa wobbles Clarke immediately in that fight. Hits him with a big overhand, I believe it is, and Clarke is immediately wobbling. Commentators go, Awa looking to finish the fight now. Clarke survives and eventually puts it on Awa as the fight goes on. End of the first round happens. You go back to your corners, go back to the stools, and Awa can't open his eye, or his eye's just messed up, and he says no more, fight over. Okay. He can't make it off the stool. Clarke wins. He celebrates. Great. I don't think he's got a good defensive striking game. I think he can easily get cracked. I'm looking at Nana here, who hits like a truck, who I know, again, didn't take many chances in the Grug fight. But I guess he knew what was coming back at him. He knew the danger that potentially, resides in the fists of Mikhail Gruge, if that's what we want to say, I guess. So he didn't really take a chance. I think, again, Clarke's only had 3 professional fights. Maxwell hits hard. Didn't take many chances in his last one, but guys, he's fighting a fighter in Justin Clarke, who's 3-0, but has beaten a 1-8 fighter, a 1-1 fighter, and a 3-1 fighter. I think I know how this one's gonna go. Maxwell Jantu Nana to win the fight by first round knockout. I think Bob Lee easily takes him, but we'll get to that fight later in the year. Next up, we go to the welterweight division as we've got our featured bout of the night, and we go to a matchup here between Shido Esperanca and Aydina Octave or Octave Aydina, because sometimes they have the name the opposite way. I don't know. Aydina. Sometimes they're just calling him Aydina, and I've been calling him the other name. Anyways, Shido Esperanca's pretty good. I mean, both these guys' last fights are actually very impressive. I would say Esperanca's way more impressive, though. The fighter from Angola goes out there against Ibrahim Mane. That's a difficult fight. Mane's fought in PFL Europe before. He's a credentialed guy. I guess Mane goes for the takedown. They clinch up right away. Mane looks to throw Esperanca. Esperanca kind of, he stays back on it, so Mane basically throws himself. Esperanca is a scramble. He ends up taking the back quickly of Mane, and it's more of I think they have it down as a rear naked choke. It's really a neck crank that he gets Mane with. Fight over 34 seconds into the fight. Great, right? I mean, Esperanca, another guy who fought back at the Anthem in DC, that same card that Maxwell Nana fought on back in 2024. So again, in the PFL, puts you on a actual PFL card on ESPN, they're looking to build you up. Again, we saw this with, some European fighters back in the day. I know how the PFL operates, right? So Esperanca, we knew going into that fight against Mane, especially again against a veteran opponent who he's supposed to be, we knew again they kind of wanted to build Esperanca up a little bit. That's exactly what happened. They, he beat a guy in Mane who has fought in PFL Europe before. Had a fight in Brave once against Nursultan Ruzboyev, fought in a co-main event or a featured fight against Chiniko Noso Pedro at one point. We knew what they were doing with the Esperanca fight, and Esperanca did what he needed to do, right? Gets the first round submission. For Aydina, man, that's a good win too. It's a weird fight against British Bulayang, because the commentators immediately go, oh, watch out for British. He's going to be very aggressive early in the fight. He's going to look to blitz. Aydina gets him down, starts hammering him with punches, starts raining him down, and it's a really weird stoppage because Aydina's landing on the ground. I don't think the fight's close to being stopped, though, because, British Bulayang is moving still, but Octave's still landing punches. He's kind of settling for a second, and then British looks at the referee and just goes like this. And the referee stops the fight. Aydina gets up, and he's like, what the hell's going on? And then British goes to dap him up, and Aydina gets it. Oh, I won the fight. Really odd stoppage. Tremendously odd stoppage. But he beats British Bulayang, who was a 3-1 fighter, who, again, Aydina was a pretty sizable favorite to go out and beat. I thought that fight was minus 110. No way that fight was even odds. No shot. Well, Tapology says that fight was even odds. I don't believe that. But again, Aydina was 6-0 at the time. On Tapology, 89% of people were taking him. No way that fight was even. If it was, I missed out on making a lot of money. A 3-1 fighter against a 6-0 fighter? Really? That fight was even? No shot. Anyways, it was a really odd finish. But I look at this one now between Aydina and Esperanca. I'm like, I don't know if Aydina's better than Esperanca. Because Esperanca, again, we've seen the grappling a lot. He does have a striking game too, but man, he's such a physical grappler. Dude is a strong dude who can just drag you down if he needs to. And again, Aydina's a primary wrestler too, right? I mean, look how he gets British down. All of his fights prior to PFL are by wrestling finishes. I just think Esperanca's better. I think Esperanca's better everywhere. Also, again, too, if, Aydina... I say Aydina and Esperanca's wrestling kind of both cancel each other out. Okay, we get a striking fight. I'm going to go Esperanca in that matter, too. I was just really impressed with the Esperanca victory. And again, I keep going over this, but it's a damn fact. I mean, you can tell at times the PFL wants to win fights. You just can. Why was Esperanca put in that spot against Ibrahim Mane? Why did he fight in PFL, the US PFL promotion in 2024? They give him Mane, who's a credentialed guy, and he passes the test. So now they can put the promotional backing around Shido Esperanca as well. I mean, I was impressed with the victory. It was a really good win, right? I mean, it's an experienced guy in Ibrahim Mane that he fought. Mane, again, he stops the takedown. Again, it kind of looks like Esperanca goes for the takedown himself. It's a weird scramble. But regardless of what happens and who's looking for the takedown, who's not looking for the takedown, Mane tries to throw him off, tries to hip throw him off, essentially. And Esperanca finds himself on top in a scramble, and the fight's over from there. Again, quickly jumps on him. Again, he kind of gets thrown. So initially, Esperanca's on top, and I'm breaking down a 34-second fight quite a bit, but, this is important because I believe he's got high-level grappling more than Aydina. But anyways, Esperanca, I think he ends up on top at first, in half mount or full mount-ish, or I think it's side control. Regardless, Mane flips over, turns his back to him, and Esperanca quickly jumps off and, jumps on the back, puts his hooks in, and boom, fight over. I mean, immediately, as soon as he puts the hooks in, by the way, sinks in that neck crank. Again, I think PFL wrote it down as a rear naked choke. To me, it looked like a neck crank, because when a guy's neck is going this way in a choke, and there's nothing under the chin, and it's just right here, that's like Conor Habib. That's a neck crank, and obviously that hurts, that hurts more, honestly, than a rear naked choke. But that's more of you're just getting cranked, and you just can't take it anymore. The human body can't take that anymore, So, again, impressive, though. I like Esperanca, and I look at it, Aydina, the guys he had fought also prior to PFL, not the best, and you look at who British was. I mean, again, a good victory. He got the fight down, but, I mean, he fought a guy who just quit. There's no other way to put it. That's what happened to British Bully Young in that fight. He looks at the referee. He does this. Okay, fight over. Even the commentators are kind of like, oh, what happened? The corners, you can see the corners on the screen, like the camps, and they're like, coaches are like, what? I'm going to go Esperanca. I'm going to go Esperanca to win. I think, again, if we get a situation as well where grappling and wrestling kind of cancel each other out, we see a striking fight, and I think that'll go to Esperanca as well. So I think Esperanca eventually gets that finish. I'm going to go second. I'm going to go second round TKO for Shido Boris Esperanca from Angola. I think he'll take out the Cameroonian fighter now training out of Nigeria. Give me Shido Esperanca to win the fight by second round TKO. We go on to the co-main event of the evening. We have the South African Nkosi Ndebele taking on, now we're going to try to pronounce Hokonya's first name. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to get it wrong, okay? A little shocked this is the co-main, but I think I know why. I think Hokonya might have been the most impressive guy out of the first two PFL cards. I mean, you beat Franz Malabo, and you beat Franz Malabo like that. I mean, there is no question who won that fight at the end of the fight. And I get it. Malabo did actually take the fight on short notice. That was originally supposed to be two different guys. Majorique, who was fighting earlier on this card, on this very card against Muhammad Camara, was originally supposed to be one of the opponents for the South African for the Zimbabwean fighter, I believe, in Hokonya, who actually now trains in South Africa. Regardless, though, they get Franz Malabo to step in, and Franz Malabo is a guy who fought for the PFL Europe Championship just a couple years ago against Khurshid Kaharov, ended up losing that fight, but I mean, this is an experienced guy. He's fought multiple seasons in PFL, fought in Bellator, has a win over Dominique Wooding, fought Ricky Bandejas at one point in time. Very experienced guy in Franz Malabo, who I think quite highly of. And Hokonya beats his ass. I mean, he beats him to the punch every single time. There's really nothing Malabo has to offer. It's pretty clear, And I don't know who says it on commentary after the fight, but one of the commentators goes after the fight's over, like they ring the bell, okay, it's over. Like, they haven't announced a winner yet, but we all know it's going to be Hokonya. Commentators go, this dude's a problem. Like, if you're in the PFL bantamweight division, you're concerned, because that was a veteran-esque effort out of Hokonya, who's 6-0. Yeah, Franz Malabo was a -600 favorite in that fight. Hokonya was upwards of +475. I mean, I wrote off Hokonya because it was like, oh, Malabo's here. He's taking on a guy who is very inexperienced. And, okay, Malabo, I've seen Malabo before. He's only lost to Kaharov in PFL before. He lost to, who else to lose to? No, that's his only loss in PFL. Fought for the PFL Europe Championship. I've seen this guy in Europe. Like, easy win for Malabo. He's an SPG Ireland guy. Perfect. Nope. One-way traffic. And I get it. Short notice fight for Franz Malabo, but I'm so impressed with Hokonya. Now for Nkosi Ndebele from South Africa, went over Mahmoud Atef. I don't know where they found Mahmoud Atef. That was just a beatdown. Nkosi gets the fight down, takes him down immediately, and just beats his ass on the ground, man. Just keeps on punching. And Nkosi's a former Brave champion. Ended up losing that belt before eventually, again, getting his shot over in PFL. Actually beat Jose Torres twice in a row, a former UFC fighter who fought Jared Brooks and Alex Perez at one point in the UFC, and owns a victory, by the way, over Amir Albazi. Yeah, Amir Albazi's got 2 losses. Brandon Moreno and Jose Torres is the other one. Nkosi beat Jose Torres twice in Brave to once capture the championship and then defend the championship. They had a trilogy, oddly enough, over there, as Nkosi did lose the first fight by split decision, but it was so close. They fought for the belt, and then obviously Nkosi won both those fights. Regardless, though, Nkosi lost his championship in Brave in December 2024, gets a chance in PFL Africa, and dominates Mahmoud Atef. I mean, it's a guy who should not have been in there with him. It was such a clear, difference in levels. Atef was a 5-2 fighter going into that fight. He looked horrible. I can't pick against Hokonya right now. I mean, Hokonya is by far the favorite to win it. Nikosi's going to be much bigger than him. He's a 5'10" bantamweight. He's very skinny. He just is. Like, I mean, you can look at, the he's just built like a very skinny guy. I think Hokonya is going to have a very good striking advantage. I think grappling-wise, he should be fine as well. I'm not going, this is not pure reactionary. No, it is reaction. I don't care. This is pure reactionary because of the Franz Malabo fight. I mean, you look that good in that fight. You have to win the season now, right? I mean, I think he easily takes Nikosi here, and he gets Henniene, I believe, in the championship fight, which will be a guy who's going to look to grapple him for 25 minutes. I still think Hokonya is going to win that, just because I don't think Henniene can stay up with him on the feet, but that should be an interesting stylistic battle. But I'm going to go with the Zimbabwean fighter. I think that's the way I say it, Zimbabwean fighter, and Simbrace Hokonya. He should win it by decision. Main event time, Patrick Ocheme versus Abdulrazak Sankara. This fight's better than you think it is. Like, on Tapology, you see, Patrick Ocheme, 94% of voters are picking Patrick Ocheme. Did you watch Sankara's last fight? I mean, PFL Africa hasn't been around for that long, but Sankara owns the greatest knockout in PFL Africa history right now. The head kick knockout when he pulls off against Majorique Yamba, oh my goodness. Brutal head kick, puts the guy out. He's out before he hits the mat. Brutal, man. I mean, it's a nasty outside head kick. And I didn't see it coming with Sankara. This is a guy who was 6-4 going to that fight. I thought Yamba was going to win personally. This is a guy who had lost back-to-back fights, or he was a loser in 2 out of his last 4 fights. You're thinking, okay, why is he really here? You know, Yamba doesn't have experience, but he's 4-0. I believe Yamba can get it. He's fought in EFC. No. Sankara. I think it's Sankara. I'm pretty sure it's Sankara. Nasty head kick knocks him out cold. Now, Ocheme, I think Ocheme's good, though. I don't, again, he is just like the PFL Africa guy. He's like what, Alcara is over in PFL MENA. And I guess what, Simeon Powell was over in PFL Europe, or obviously he's not Dakota Ditchfield. He's kind of what, Simeon Powell was in PFL Europe. Like, they really liked Powell early until Neto knocked him out. But anyways, Ocheme's fun to watch. He doesn't get the most, he's not that much of a finisher. He kind of is. In EFC, he's getting finishes. He's fighting better guys now, so he's not just going to be able to melt them. But pure kickboxer Patrick Ocheme throws a lot of his punches are, though, like, it's just a lot of outside stuff. That's all he does. But he's aggressive. He throws hard. Like, Ocheme, it's going to be kind of a weird shout, but I believe he kind of fights like Emilios Dassi, kind of. He's more technically sound because Dassi just kind of throws everything, I think we're gonna be all right here with Ocheme. I think Ocheme is much better than Sankara. Again, Sankara looked good with the knockout, but you take this guy, you put this guy in a 15-minute fight, that's where the levels really come out. And that's the thing about the PFL format, right? Like, you can look good in one fight, but now you got to win 2 more and win the tournament. Again, as far as great as the knockout was against Sankara against Yamba, maybe Sankara actually goes on and wins a 15-minute decision against Yamba if the knockout never happens. Again, who knows, right? You'll never know. I think Ocheme is just a higher level than him. I think as the fight prolongs, as the fight goes on, Ocheme is going to be getting better because he has fought the 15-minute environment. He has been in the main event for PFL. His only loss was in 2022 by 3rd-round TKO. This is a guy who's continued to stack victories. And for as great as the knockout is for Sankara, when I was watching that fight live, I was shocked. And there's a great future for Sankara. He's 24 years of age. Sure, he's 7-4, but you're 24. You put together some more wins. All right, they'll keep him around definitely because of that knockout over Yamba. But you can look great with the knockout finish. I think Ocheme's good enough where, Ocheme's wild, but he doesn't really get hit that much either. And maybe, again, that's just a product of how bad Camara is, and Camara is not high level at all. But I think Ocheme's easily going to take this fight. And I just believe, again, if he can get out that first round, I think that's where Sankara is going to be his best. If Ocheme gets out of that first, he's going to be more than fine. He should continuously just break Sankara as the fight goes on, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Starboy, Patrick Ocheme, to win the main event. We're going to take the Nigerian fighter now training out of Johannesburg, South Africa, to beat the Burkina Faso fighter now training out of Cote d'Ivoire. I say the country's name? Cote d'Ivoire. Like, they're the oh, is that why Bob Lee is the Irish flag? It's actually Cote d'Ivoire. Oh, no. They have the same flag? No, it's flipped. Oh, my goodness. Cote d'Ivoire's orange, white, green. The things you learn. The things you learn. Ireland's green. Oh, I thought... Yeah, I know. I know of Ireland's green, white, orange. I thought... that's why the Irish... It's not the Irish flag. It's the Cote d'Ivoire flag. I apologize. I apologize. Is this just Ivory Coast? Oh, it's just Ivory Coast. That's what this country is. Because, like, I swear, when I did, geography B in elementary school, it was not Cote d'Ivoire. It was Ivory Coast. Anyways, I'm going to take Patrick Ocheme to beat Abdulrazak Sankara. I think Sankara has skill. I think he throws hard. I think he throws fun stuff, and he throws good kicks. Ocheme is just a better skillful fighter, and he's just the more... He's just, again, he's the more experienced fighter. He's the better fighter. He's seen more stuff. And obviously, again, he's got promotional backing around him. There have been 2 strictly just PFL Africa cards so far. Patrick Ocheme's main evented both of those. And he will probably main event the championship card, the finals fight card, when he goes on and takes on a pretty good fighter in Dwight Joseph. I mean, that's the fight PFL Africa wants, because you get Ocheme versus an established guy. Either the established guy wins your title, or Ocheme really solidifies himself as a legit, product that you have. So that's going to be exciting. I really actually I'm pumped for Patrick Ocheme Dwight Joseph championship fight. That's going to be a fun first PFL Africa finals main event. But for now, again, we're going Patrick Ocheme in the main event by unanimous decision. And folks, that'll do it for our PFL Africa predictions here on the channel. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.